Welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, and as usual, we had some technical difficulties, but you can't blame it on the warehouse router. Not this time.
No, we could blame it on the Frog God Games office router because I am in Arizona visiting my pal Zach, and I was at his office, and it just crapped out on me. So guess where I'm at now? Does anybody recognize this? I'm at Zach's place, baby. Look at this. And I mean, look at this. Look at this. We're gonna start auctioning stuff tonight.
Oh,
Here is a copy of Boot Hill. I probably complete. Opening bid, Tom.
$1.
$1. $1.
$1. Sure.
There's a lot of stuff in here. We're gonna have to speed bid this. So this one, Tom, for $1 on that one. We'll get the rest later. There's a lot here.
With us this week. Is none other.
What's up? I think you heard
that. Well, apparently that was Zach's wife trying to sneak in, but that was below us. This is going to sound really scary if we go on, but with us, I'll how about I say that is Thom Wilson, best known for ShireCon, Throwi games. If you've gone to North Texas and you've bought any of the adventures that are there to benefit the con, you got about a 50-50 chance that Thom was involved. I'm pulling a number out of my ass, but I'm probably right.
Thom is he is a huge North Texas RPG Con supporter, and I want you to know, Thom, I went to ReaperCon last weekend.
ReaperCon?
ReaperCon over
ReaperCon. I sorry.
What'd you think I said?
Slight difference.
I think you said ReaperCon, and I was like, oh, that's New York City these days.
Yeah, I got a new lease on life, so I'm going to take it crazy. No. And I brought copies of B 2.5 K's the Unknown and X 1.5 Dead Mentality Tales. Sold quite a few.
Excellent.
Because they are absolutely OSC compatible. 100% OSC compatible because they're written for basic D&D. Those are two adventures that Thom basically wrote everything. I wrote a little bit. Charlie wrote most of the first one. They sold really well. Everybody was really impressed with the old school style and how they looked. One guy opened it up and said, "Whoa, these are the original fonts, man." I said, "Yeah, Thom used the original fonts and everything." So yeah, and next year we're gonna have we might have before next year we're gonna have a big surprise too for OSC BX fans because Thom's been working on a third module for North Texas. So yeah, Thom is a huge supporter of the con. We really love him coming, and we thank you for coming on with us tonight.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Definitely. I've been going to ShireCon since the first ShireCon, although I missed COVID and I missed last year to car issues. But I get to drive my newer car, my nice Forester that I only got because I was able to get down to the car dealership and be told best we can do is December. I was like, fuck.
Oh.
And then 2 days later, I get a phone call at 9:30 in the morning. Another floor model you were looking at? I'm like, yeah. That fell through. Do you want it? Because God only knows, first off, how prices are getting. Otherwise, I still got in at the old prices. So
that's good.
But
yeah, we'll be glad to see you next weekend. So
yes, it's a ShireCon and going to be coming up Friday. Going to be leaving Sunday morning. We're going to be staying in town. I forget which of the two inn/bed and breakfast we're at. I'll need to figure that out before I get up there, but it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to the Friday night pre-con get it on because
you didn't use that terminology. I don't want to steal anything from Texas, but yeah, it's basically off the grid. Just get together, pizza, beer, play games, have fun, and then worry about badges on Saturday morning. So
that works.
Awesome.
Jen says she will knife anyone who takes Zach's stuff.
Knife anyone? Whoa, hey!
I'm not taking it. I'm just buying it.
Whoa,
yeah. You'll be fairly recompensed. Okay, there will be an remuneration going from one end to the other, and somebody will certainly leave with geld, and we will leave with treasures.
It'll be a low return on investment for Zach.
Hey, Zach grabbed my device. I did not write that. Please sell Zach stuff.
We could do that, Jen. I'm on the job, Dan. I think Thom would love a lot of this stuff. So I think I'm just gonna go. We're just gonna let Thom pretty much make an offer on some of this stuff. I think.
Yeah, I'll do like $50 a big box.
Love a lot of this stuff. I think I'm just gonna go. $50 a box. That's way more than I was thinking.
I meant like a big box. You put everything in a box.
Jen's already got the auction started out there. Between you and Bill, it looks like. Holy crap! This is cold, man. This is ice cold.
It's just not fair. It's not fair, I tell you. But we actually do have a lot of stuff on our virtual play tonight because Thom, you have your fingers in more projects than anybody sane should probably have. Is that a good way?
Yeah, I stay busy.
He's one of the busiest guys in gaming, man. He burns the candle at both ends, and oh, by the way, he's also a volunteer fireman too. So when he's not writing D&D, he's running around putting out fires. So
yeah,
luckily not too many fires these days, but we still get them now and then. So,
and you did that at the new middle age.
Yeah, I volunteered with the local fire department in the town, and I asked them what do they need, and they said we need interior firefighters, and I was like, all right, and they said, oh, it's not that hard, don't worry about it, you'll do fine. Yeah, it was not easy, not at 52 or whatever I was at the time, and but I got through it, and it lost a bunch of weight, which was really helpful, and it was a good experience, another good life experience, and now I also passed my certification to drive the fire truck, so I drive that around now, which is fun.
On your spare time, like Sonic or something, or do you have
to just rip it around, do donuts with it. I don't know. It's a good time. I like to drive the scene and whatever, pump water and do it all. It's a lot of fun. So
there you go, nice. So, Thom, I think the first event that we have coming up on your list of things is ShireCon.
Yes.
So here, it's Thom did something that, listen, if every guest did this, it would be awesome. What the?
He's playing games over there.
Yeah, you gotta speed this up a little, Eric. I got no. I'm just kidding.
He's multitasking.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to log in so I can answer people on YouTube because I don't want to log in my credentials to Zach's computer because God knows what he would do with my YouTube account if he had.
Oh God, I don't think we even have to.
Yeah, I'm worried that worries me.
So this is this year's graphic for ShireCon 2022.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's every year I do a new graphic like most cons would do. I always use Travis Hansen, who's West Coaster, well known for comic books and such. And we try to always do something that's sort of Middle Earth related, since we're in the Berkshires. So we call it ShireCon for the Berkshires, but I'm a huge Tolkien fan, so I always do something Middle Earth related. And I wanted the troll, coming through the doors in Moria, and that's what he pulled out. And by the way, if you've ever worked with Travis, he's like, you give him an idea, and like a nanosecond later, he's got a sketch, and then 2 nanoseconds later, it's inked. So he's amazingly quick. Yeah, he's super fast. And he basically knows he's got the exclusive rights to the logo as long as possible here. So this is our 4th year. We did skip the year for COVID, like most did, but this is our 4th year. It's got the most signups, pre-reg badges that we've ever had, which is great. It's a good sign. And we're looking forward to it. It's next weekend, 17th. So we're very fired up to play another weekend of games. So
very, very cool. Now, Thom, what got you inspired in the first place to start up ShireCon?
I went to my first con when I was 16, and I thought, oh, I would love to be able to do this someday. This sounds like fun, like run games for people. And obviously that didn't happen right away, or for a long time, for that matter. And then I was chatting with Doug and Mike. I chatted with Alex, chatted with the guys at LongCon, and we just talked about like what's it like running a con. And I got really good advice from all those guys. Doug gave me some really good advice. Alex gave me some great advice, and I said, I'll try it. I'll try it with that advice in mind, and it's been successful. I've never lost money.
Okay.
I broke even the first 2 years, and last year I was able to put money into this year, and this year I'll be putting more money into next year. So we're just going to keep building it. I plan on doing more things for special guests in the future to make it a little bit more palatable for people to come a little further distance. We are stretching into a half day on Fridays. I think formally next year for number 5, I believe we're going to try to do that.
Oh,
But I've
nice.
always wanted to do it. Always want to do it. And a few years ago, I said, "Why not now? Let's just do it." And so, with good advice and a full head of steam, we did.
Beautiful. I mean, folks, listen, North Texas is my home away from home, but ShireCon is my con home that's damn near home. I can drive in about, I think, just in about 2 hours. It is perfect coming from New York City. I know we're gonna have a bunch of people coming from the whole East Coast. Matt Jackson's coming up from Tennessee. Rob Conley is coming from Western PA. Tom Verald's coming down with his wife from Maine. I believe Ian McGarty is going to be there because Ian has to be.
New Hampshire.
He's a personality.
And we got about 9 or 10 states now that show up regularly, which is pretty wild. So
Yeah,
but we know all those states still fit in Texas. So
Well,
New England states are tiny.
your venue isn't real big, but it sounds like what I've heard people, it's really cool venue. You have room to expand, and you said you're going for a half day of Friday. So what are the chances we're going to get Friday, Saturday, and a larger venue at some point?
Well, I think for next year we're going to try to formalize the half day Friday, and then for number 6 and number 7 we're going to start to talk about going maybe 2 full days and seeing if we can find a bigger space. I really hate to move out of the space I'm in, but I have access to the next door building, which will double my space. So in theory, I could get to about 225, 240. And I think that's a pretty good number for where we are. I mean, the problem I have here is that I don't have a lot of space for people to stay overnight.
right.
There are places, but you're gonna, that many people, I'm gonna probably have trouble getting people with rooms. So if I do have to move, I'd have to move out of the area. But I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna cross that bridge when I get there. Right now, we're gonna probably have probably 100, 110 on Saturday, and I think it's a pretty good number for us for a one man show, pretty much, and a handful of volunteers that I have to strong arm into work. So
what I know you're an old school guy, obviously. So what kind of games are played at ShireCon? What's the? I mean, you probably do a little bit of everything, but what are the big games there?
Well, we have this year we have a handful of BX. We got obviously Eric is running Swords and Wizardry Light. We have DCC, we have MCC, we have a lot of Hyperborea actually. We have some 1A, 1E AD&D. We have a 2nd edition AD&D game. We have a 5e Cthulhu crossover, which is wild. I run an OSE themed tavern brawl game, basically just giant murder fest. And there's a lot, and there's some OSE obviously in BX. So there's a lot of old school games, but a lot of newer old school games like Hyperborea and DCC. We've yet to have a real big turnout for a lot of 5e games. We get one probably every year, and the one we have this year is Scott Legault from Rising Phoenix. He's doing a Cthulhu 5e crossover, which looks really fun actually. So so I mean, we get mostly old school games, which is great. And I never push the con in that direction. It just the crowd that comes is an old school crowd. We get the guys up from New York City. We get guys like Gabe Meister and Noah Green. Sometimes we get Andy Markham. From the Massachusetts, we get the Roberts and company.
Right.
A lot of old school guys that just want to play the original game. So it just happened to go that way. I mean, I would never turn down people who want to run 5e, but they'd be hard pressed to fill the table, I think, with the guys we have, because they're jamming up all the BX and Swords and Wizardry and DCC and Hyperborea. So that's what gets played there. So it's a good time.
Yeah, I know. I was told by people this year that they were amazed at how fast a lot of the slots filled up in certain games. Anyway.
Yeah, you can definitely tell what people want to want to play. And when I try to encourage people who are submitting games, I say, take a look at last year. Take a look at last year's games, which ones filled up and which ones didn't, and get a sense of what really fires. And when you have your new Star Wars, live action game or whatever, it's like, yeah, you're probably not going to get all the seats filled for that. That's just how it is. But if you want to run OSE, guaranteed every seat will be filled. So
Yeah. So
you got to play to your audience. I mean, there's no point in pushing one particular system if people in that area aren't going to play that system.
No, I let the GMs dictate what they want to run, and the GMs, most of the GMs I had this year, I think all but a couple have been there before and have run the similar games in years past, so they know.
So now there's 3 sessions. There's a morning session, an afternoon. There's an evening session. Evening session. Why can't I say the word? God damn it! So I mean, how many? I should have counted, but how many tables do you have basically per session?
We have. There are. So here's let's see if I can pull the map up. So this is the map in the back of the program. Here we go.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. So we get about 10, 11 tables filled for the first slot, and about the same for the second slot, and then the third slot, which starts at 5:30 p.m. Tends to be lean. We only have like 5 or 6 games there because people are like, people will want to start heading home if they're going to Jersey or Pennsylvania, whatever. So they'll start heading out early. A lot of people saying goodbyes in between the second and third slot. So we don't fill up all the games in the third slot, but I think over time that'll change as we get more and more people, more and more local people. Like this year, we have more local people coming than years past, which is good. It's starting to the news is getting out there. So we'll get more games in the third slot in the coming years. But yeah, we fill all the tables, and we leave a few tables open for either open gaming or sitting around drinking coffee or eating lunch or whatever. So we kind of keep a couple tables on the registration side open for people just to hang out.
Pretty cool. All right. Yeah. Are we ready to move on to our next slide?
Sure.
So now, Curse of Kobold Cave. Tell us about this.
Yeah, it's actually Curse of Kobold Cove.
My bad. Right.
Cove. It's that is this year's ShireCon exclusive. It's full color inside and out, OSE. It's 32 pages, so it's pretty good size, and it's an archipelago. And I made it a hex crawl because I wanted you to basically just wander around with your little ship and land on different islands that had different things going on. And there's pirates and cannibals and Amazonians and just all different. And there's a gargantua. There's all these different creatures and things to do, and it's kind of a nice little hex crawl. And I felt like it's also a good supplement to ShireCon. If someone actually wanted to sit down and start playing it at ShireCon, you could, because it's a hex crawl, right? Just go wherever you want and play. But it's a good little book. It's going to be $20. I think I sold 15 or 20 ahead of time, and there'll be more for sale at the con. And whatever's left over, I always say I will, ship to people who are interested in it. But I'm only going to probably print 50 like I did for last year's. So, but it's a good little book, and it's.
I want it.
You got? Did you get last year's, Mike?
I think I did. Which one was last year's? I can't remember.
A giant quandary.
I want to say I did, but I don't. I can't place it.
So well, you let me know, and I'll send both of them. I still got a few copies left of the first one. I'll send them both to you.
I appreciate it. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's a good little book, and it's got I think it's got 5 full art pages. It's got and lots of art. It's an art heavy book, which is really nice, and it's got a lot of cool maps, and it's just a cool little book. I try to do an exclusive. I do 2 exclusives. I do this big color one that you buy separately, and then I always put one in the swag bag.
Right.
So this year's is Fortress of Souls, and it's basically it's a digest size 4-pager that everyone gets for free in their swag bag, and it's again another one of those things you could just sit down and play it right there to the con if you want something to do.
How much free shit you get here? This is ridiculous.
I don't know. I got all this stuff all laying around. I figure I have to throw it to use, right? Yeah. So the swag bag you get, it's got a little logo on it. That's a nice North Texas one. I have to do an actual iron on here, but at least it's handcrafted with love. Might even be some burn marks on my arm or whatever on here too. And different bags. Like there's a 28 sided die in there, and there's a few little tchotchkes in there. And then I do an extra swag bag that has a bunch, like a full set of dice and a mini and some other things. So yeah, so it works out pretty cool. And it's only $20 for a day and a half of gaming, so it's a lot of fun. So
yeah, no, it's pretty good. All right, moving on to the next one. This art is excuse my French, fucking amazing. It was really evocative. Actually, let me go in there and end them big in this.
Yeah, that's Frank Scacolosi, who is known for his hatch work, very solid stuff. And he and I had a conversation, going on almost 2 years ago, about doing, that monochrome color art for the next North Texas book. So this is for this year's 2023 North Texas book, which is called Beyond the Lost City. And I said, that book was purple. We always do a monochrome version, so I was lightening up the purple, so it's more of a lavender color. Could you try to do that? He said, yes. I said, also throw in some cool stuff, like throw in some things. So if you look around, if you look at the art long enough, you'll find all these little Easter eggs he put in there, which are very cool.
Wow.
I think there's something on the arch over the sarcophagus, and something in the sarcophagus, and a few other places. There's little like Easter eggs in there. It's really cool. So that'll be on the cover of that purple monochrome Beyond the Lost City book, which is going to be pretty beefy. I think it might actually stretch to 64 pages of content. So it's a really good book.
Really?
Basically it's, if you look in the back of the Lost City, you're going to see that Moldvay left like a number of areas that for you to figure out on your own. And one of the things I loved about Moldvay is like, here's the main adventure, Lost City, right? And at the end, it's like, oh, there's like these 10 or 12 areas that the GM should just flesh out on their own, which is cool because as a GM, that's what you want to do, right? Well, this does 5 or 6 of those areas, and lets you expound on the city below the pyramid. And this particular picture is it's supposed to be the island of death in the middle of the lake, but it turned out to be a little smaller, but that's all right because the detail's fantastic.
Oh, no, it looks spot on awesome.
So I did a bunch of the encounter areas. I redid them, or I fleshed them out so that if you were playing Lost City and you got to the bottom and you want to do more of those things and didn't have time to flesh them out, well, you got 5 or 6 right here at your leisure. And there'll be a section for that Charlie Phipps also did that wasn't part of those. Well, I guess it is part of those extra items. He did a couple of the temples of the factions below. So he did a bunch of that, and then I did a bunch more. I think he's got 16 or so pages, and I have another 40 or so. So it's pretty beefy.
Wow, that's big. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah.
And it's a good one. It's gonna be a real good one. So it's and that art, and Frank is amazing. His work is just beautiful. So that'll be a nice cover.
The great thing about North Texas Basic Expert modules is that you can use them with the existing property. So, for instance, X 1.5, there's a plot line, but also it details several random areas all around the island, just different islands. And then obviously B2.5 Caves of the Unknown, that details the area keeping the Borderlands. It says Caves of the Unknown, and there's no detail given. There was never a detail given. It was just named Caves of the Unknown. So that's what I love about these is that they are an apps. You could absolutely just put these in if you're running the regular stuff. They fit in. They have the same rule system, and they fit in just perfectly. It's great.
Yeah, it really meant to be just expanding current, the original stuff and adding a little bit more, a little bit more encounter areas and adventure for you. There's a couple in there that I love. The Island of Death is one of my favorites of the ones I wrote for this, and then the other one is the catacombs that are shut off from the city, and I expounded on that. And I think I have a picture of coming up that is a 2-page spread inside there, done by Brian Thomas. That's absolutely amazing as well. So.
By the way, Joe the lawyer is interjecting, and now you might think that Joe was already maybe halfway into a bottle, but he's not. He's coming out of the gym, so he's got the gym high. So what he's talking about here, the tankies, is something that's been talked about on Friday nights in our dungeon, not the Dungeon Dragons Discourse, the random generated party, which is Joe and I, Rob Conley, Matt Jackson, Greg Christopher, Tim Shorts, and we've all been talking about how there's really no, except for North Texas, which only gives out one award, by the way. There's no real awards simply for the OSR. And there's no awards that are just based upon just submitting PDF. We don't want your physical books. We don't want you having to basically bribe the judges. So they're throwing around the idea of the Tankies, and they want to make the Tankies a ShireCon event where it would get announced at ShireCon. Probably 4 or 5 categories. So Joe, basically what it is Joe's like, "Did you bring it up yet?" I was like, "No," because But the idea is that this would be an annual thing at ShireCon where we announce the winners. And again, this is stuff that people, if you want to, you don't have to send physical product to the judges. Send us, your drive-through coupon, because we're looking at quality. We're not looking at, somebody sent me a $25 book. We're not the Ennies. Okay,
right?
Let's put it that way.
You don't take bribes like the. I mean, wait. That's never mind.
Supplement your income.
It never happened.
Right. So, but we've been talking about this online in text, because it's the people that I game with, right? And podcast with every other week are all creators, and they're all people who have seen that the OSR has a lot of creativity, but doesn't necessarily get the recognition. And when you're always going to be generally, if you aren't like being published directly under the OSE banner by Gavin, you're probably going to be ass out if you're old school. So, and ShireCon is the unofficial East Coast old school gaming con. Now, you might not have focused it like that, but you seem to have fallen into that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I would actually, got a moth flying around my office here. Jeez, I would definitely want to talk to you more about that, and definitely, I'm trying to kill this one. Going in my beer.
Live death.
Yeah, I would definitely love to talk about that so that we could formalize it for maybe year 5, because year 5, like 5 is a magic number. Everyone knows that, right? And I think that'd be great saying year 5, we're doing awards, and we have the perfect time for it. When we do our between slot 1 and slot 2, we do the drawings, right? We give away all that free stuff that we get from all the gracious, publishers that send me stuff all year. That right after that, we could do. So I think we're going to. So we got the slot for it, and we're definitely getting the numbers for it. So I say, let's do it.
All right.
Let's just have a conversation that Friday before the con, and we'll sit down and talk about it.
Sounds good. All right, catching up here, Bad Mike, but isn't not the Tankies, but the Tankies must be awarded.
They must be. What I like best is when Joe and everybody was talking about that, some of the categories were hilarious. So that's I don't want to give anything away, but there's
really give away one of them, Mike, if it sticks out.
No. Joe wants you can, but there's just some funny stuff in there too. It's not your. Let's just say the awards aren't this is the best drawn, this is the best written, this is the best whatever. There's some unusual stuff there.
Basically, it's what does the gamer think would be kick ass? Does it excite you? Those it might not be necessarily titled along those ways, but it isn't best production value.
Yeah, like Joe said, shit most likely to be used at the table.
Right.
So whatever book you'd like use at the table the most, that would win an award. So that's a good example. Yeah, there's some good stuff like that.
It might actually say most useful, but colloquialism would be.
I like the GM is unprepared. What do I reach for first?
Yeah.
That's like the great one.
Yeah, I mean, really, because that's what you go back to time and time again. Listen, when Zach Smith won all those awards, some of the stuff was good, but was it something you're going to go back to a second time?
Yeah, some of those. I mean, even Red Pleasant Land. That's a great book, but it's the reusability for me is wasn't.
0.
Yeah, I can't use it more than once really because then it's just too spoiled.
Yeah. So yes, Joe. That was one of them. I think that's what Mike was alluding to. All right, we'll move on now to the next slide.
Let me see if I need to. Oh yeah, this should be the Star Thrall. Yeah, so Brian Thomas, people know him as Brian Glad Thomas. He's an awesome. He's got that old school look and feel to his artwork too. And that's actually 2 images that are going to be on a spread. They're not full pages, just so that you can see that they're landscape. So there'll be like a half page, either across the top or across the bottom of 2-page spread, and they're connected, which is really cool. And this is the adventure that I told you about. That's in the the closed off catacombs. There's actually a creature in there that's been sort of slumbering and waiting for fresh victims, and if the characters go down there, they got to face that nastiness down there. So that's he ran with the picture when I gave him the ideas, and he ran with it, and it just came out beautiful. So
I love this because it has a huge Holloway vibe.
Totally Holloway.
Yes.
So I bought it. It was so cool. I mean, it just reeks Holloway to me. It reeks old school. I love this.
Yeah, Mike is lucky I gave him first option at him, because if he wasn't going to buy it, it was mine.
It was
going to be mine.
Really grabbed. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful work of art.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, I always loved the Holloway art, but it's funny. I didn't appreciate his art until Paranoia.
Oh yeah.
His artwork and the Paranoia releases was just so over the top. And then I went, oh wait, I know this art from somewhere. And then I went back and I found it in my D&D books. I'm like, son of a. But I didn't appreciate it until Paranoia. But this is just honestly really spot on.
And I think Holloway he sometimes gets pigeonholed as a humor author because of the Paranoia stuff. And a lot of his stuff is kind of goofy, over the top. But man, he drew some really good serious stuff too. It wasn't just the humorous stuff. It was also the serious stuff. He did a really good job.
And what I thought was really interesting is both artists, the cover artist and then Brian's for this piece here. There's a lot more, obviously, more interior art, but these are 2 I wanted to show. Both of the artists were really, paying homage to the original book. So you've got, on the right side of this picture, you've got, the dead faction member with the masks and the cool clothes, and same thing on the first picture, the cover picture, same thing. You've got the masks and stuff. So they really knew what stuff to get in their drawings to match the original book, which I think is just makes the tie-in so much better. So both artists, fantastic work on both.
Yeah, I know I've said it before, but I can't oversell the fact that the great thing about these expert modules is the fact that they absolutely fit right in. So if you're running the Lost City, grab this one too. Or if you're running, B2, grab B2.5, ditto with X. I mean, they fit right in. They're not shoehorned like, this is a totally different idea that I wrote a long time ago, but you could use it with this too. No, it's not like that at all. They absolutely go with the lore that these modules have, which is that's just great. I love that.
Are we ready to move on to the next picture?
Yeah, I think we'll have to set the next one up a little bit.
Yes, that's what I figured.
So some folks know that I've been sort of spoiling some piece of upcoming work that I've been doing. I've been wanting to play around with a choose your own adventure style book, like more traditional. We've seen some 5e solo stuff that's been really cool, but I really wanted to get back to sort of the original design of choose your own adventure. Obviously, you can't use pick a path, choose your own adventure, etc. So I've landed on a seize your destiny sort of brand, and I wanted to get to where it's you have more than one option or 2 options in a room or an area, and really have a light role playing game to go with it. That's sort of neutral and simple. So I had a system called Chaos that I rolled into the book to use for resolution for combat or finding things or whatever. And I tell you what, I wrote that, and it just came together so quickly. It was so much fun to write. It's about 55,000 words. Probably will increase a few hundred more because I'm gonna take the playtesters' notes and try to embellish a little bit. Stretch goals for the Kickstarter project will be a couple of epilogues probably and some other cool ideas. But I wanted it also, the first book, to really have a special cover. So I contacted a famous, well-known artist from TSR Legend and asked him to do a cover for me, and he loved doing it. It was a lot of fun working with him, and the way I work with artists, I really let them just go after it, and even if it's not exactly what I think it should be, I love the artists having their own touch to it, and I just let them roll with it. So, this is the first time I've shown this artwork to anyone outside my family circle.
All right.
So everyone will be able to see it for the first time here. So if you want to scroll down, you'll see should be the cover of the entire cover of the book will come up next. Yep, there it is.
We have a drum roll, Michael.
Yes, the book is called Trouble at Mill Manor. And
great.
If you look in the bottom right-hand corner of that art, you'll see the name. None other than Mr. Jeff D.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
So I gave him the ideas, and he threw it all together in a sort of a traditional choose-your-own-adventure where there's a bunch of things going on in one picture, which I love. If you scroll down again, I think there's a bigger picture so people can kind of get a little close to it. There you go.
Yep.
So that was the original. I actually have the original on my wall. That he obviously sent me. It's an oil painting, so I have that on my wall. But the cover is made from that digital scan that he made. And that's going to be a pretty decent little book. Like I said, 55,000 words, 6x9 trade size. So it's probably going to be, good page count, 240, 280, somewhere in there.
Damn.
It's got 455 encounter areas. So there's a lot of stuff to do in there. Lots of, and you can die a whole bunch of ways, and you can only get out in 2 different ways. So basically the odds are stacked against you, which is what I like about that. It's an exploratory with some light combat and light decision making, but it's very true to the old school choose your own adventure path where pick something, go down there, and keep going. Unlike some of the old ones where it was pretty much straight shot, like once you go past something, you got to keep going. This one lets you double back and change direction, and that was pretty hard to write, but it was well worth it. So it's on the second play test right now.
Nice.
So the first play tester's done. And the second play test has just started it today, and I got 2 more after that person, and then editing, and then it'll be ready to go. Like I usually do, when I kick it, it'll be ready to be printed. So, and I have Jeff Madding is doing all the interior art for this. I let him have the exclusive black and white interior art, and he's already got 5 or 6 done. He's got a lot more to go, like a dozen. So, this will be probably November. Maybe October, most likely November, maybe pushing into December. But yeah, so that's the big thing I've been working on lately. So, and the art is just wonderful.
There's a lot of love in our community, old school community, for the pick a path, choose your own adventure type. Because we talked about this before, Eric and I. The 80s were huge for this stuff. I mean, there was so many different kinds. There was the Endless Quest. There was the Choose Your Own Adventure. There was I mean, there's just tons of them. They had Middle Earth.
I was thinking about the Middle Earth when you were talking about that.
Yeah.
They had their own stripped down system.
By the way, screwed IAC so much they basically went out of business, or close to it, because they didn't have the rights to do a pick a path adventure. But yeah, there was so many. So what happened was I just read an article about this not too long ago. They did the pick a path books. And then about a year later, somebody at IC happened to look at their contract, and their contract did not include pick a path books. And they had to recall all the books. So they're pretty hard to find nowadays. And I believe they had to turn over a chunk of change to the Tolkien estate, and that really hurt them. I know that after that they came out the second edition of MERP, but I don't know if they ever recovered from that financially. It was really a kick in the nuts.
Yeah, Ice got beat up in that deal.
So anyway, but that's it's huge. Our generation, we love these things. I've got complete sets of Endless Quest, all the ones that TSR did. TSR did 3 or 4 different kinds, and I have complete sets of all those. But I don't even know if I played them all. They just were so cool. But yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia for this stuff. A lot of nostalgia.
Right. Well, this will be an interesting test. So when I kickstart this, it'll be an interesting test to see what, if the market's palatable to kind of buy new versions of this kind of thing. And if it does well, I've already got a second one planned that'll be post-apocalyptic for the old Gamma World fans. But
Ooh.
again, it all depends on how this one does. If this one does, terrible, then I probably won't do another one. But
Right.
it's constantly challenging the market to see what people like and don't like, and I'm hoping people like this one. And it does well enough to make another one. So
Nice. I mean, the artwork is spot on. Jeff D does great work. You don't see a lot of Jeff's color work. Most of what you see from Jeff is his inks.
Mhm.
So to see the color work is very nice.
yeah, and I think the perspective he took, and throwing stuff into the screen, like you barely see the bats in the sky around the goblet. It's just all good. And I loved it. I loved his approach. I loved his work. It makes it, and if you scroll back up to show the full cover again, you can see that it looks, it just looks really cool to have sort of and also with the classic style of the book too, just to make it look like the old ones.
It didn't have the same trade dress, obviously, but it's got very stylish and very much towards that Endless Quest style.
Yeah. Yep. So basically, we'll see how it does. Again, you should, it'd probably be done sometime between November, December, most likely. So
Nice.
yeah.
And I believe we have one more piece of artwork to look at, sir.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
no, artwork, actually. Sorry.
Yeah. So this was something I was fiddling around with the beginning of the year. I wanted to do brochure adventures where you basically, you fold them up and you can just, put them away somewhere and then pull them out when you need a quick adventure. Yeah. So basically 6 panels on a 8.5 by 11 folded 3 ways. And I wanted to do like 12 of them before I start releasing them on Patreon. So I've got 6 done so far. I'm going to try to do another 6 before I launch Patreon. I want to do 2 a month that way. That way I have some time ahead, so I can, I don't feel like I'm going to get bogged down. And I'm going to do them in three systems. Same adventure, really, just modified for 3 systems. So it's going to be OSE, Morkborg, and again, I'm throwing love out there for 5 Torches Deep, even though nobody plays it. I'll do a 5 Torches Deep. So there'll be 3 versions, 3 systems, same adventure, 2 adventures a month, and then if it starts to do well, I'll do a 3rd a month.
Now how you get the maps, Tom? Are these your own creations, or are you using a map maker, or what?
No, that actually is Forge Studios, who's on Drive-Thru, but he custom made the maps for me. These aren't stock art ones. I wanted him to make that, that long rectangular fit in a single panel of a brochure adventure, and he did these for like 2 years ago for me. He did it, I think, a dozen, and I just stockpiled them.
Yeah.
Until I got to them, and now I've been starting to use them, which is great. I also had Glyn Seal from Monkey Blood do a handful for me as well. So I've got enough to last me a good 6 to 8 months, and I'll start again. Those will start popping out October, November, most likely. I want to get past ShireCon because that's just a full-time job almost right now. But I start putting these out so people could get these quick little one-offs. Like I said, a total of 6 panels, probably between 4 and 8 encounter areas. Good little side things just to throw in somewhere, and they're small. Once they're folded up, you can just stick them in a book, and you just pull them out when you need them. So those will be fun. I hope they do well because there's some good little nuggets in there. So
yeah, the ones I did a bunch of these for our never yet to be published
Pub crawls.
But I used what was the free service I used?
It was on itch.io. Now that's interesting because it is the 1-page dungeon mapper. Same guy has also put out a terrain mapper for island. It's really good. All the work is licensed for commercial use, but now I guess it falls under the new licensing at Drive-Thru, where if you use AI generated artwork, now you have to label it as such. Mm-hmm. And where the line, where you draw that line, I don't know, because in the case of, I guess we're gonna probably late fall, early winter is probably going to be a release date for the new edition of Continual Light. And we have James Spahn's work, which was going to initially be an add-on. Now it's going to be its own project. It's a setting and adventures. But James he generated the setting material using basically AI. I believe that the plan right now is to reach out to Monkey Blood and have them rework the map.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, is it going to be considered AI generated with human intervention on it? The policy is a weird one that I don't think it's fully fleshed out.
Well, this something popped up, and it's going to be. You're going to hear a lot about this next year, guys. A lot.
Yeah.
Because this is going to change. This could conceivably change quite a bit of how we write adventures and how stuff is published. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing around with Mid-Journey the other day just for fun, and I was surprised what I could actually pull out of it. I mean, does it replace, Frank's or Brian Thomas's or Jeff D's work to me? No, it doesn't. That stuff is handcrafted with love, man. It's beautiful stuff. But for people who want to generate like really low cost PDFs on drive-through, where I mean, just to make a one adventure with like 8 or 10 stock images, you almost have to sell 50 of them to break even for that, let alone have them be custom made. So I think the AI has a role there. I don't know what it's going to do for creators. So it's going to be a really interesting ride.
It'll be really good for interior art. I think. Look. If I'm going to do a cover, I always want an artist to draw a cover because you just want an artist to draw a cover. But yeah, I mean, there's something for artists to be worried about there because there are people that are going to want to just cheaply generate a lot of art, and they're going to go into Mid-Journey and generate 500 pieces or whatever, and they're set. But I've seen the AI art looks good, but it requires a little experience to make it look really good. And unless you're willing to put that time and effort in there, it's going to look okay. But if you're doing something really cheap and you're on a budget, people are going to use it, man. It's just it's there. I mean, they're absolutely going to use it.
Here's the thing: is that if you think that's the limit, you're sadly mistaken, right? I mean, it won't be long before writers like myself are going to be put out of business because I think you're going to be able to have AI write adventures. It's going to happen, whether you like it or not. It's going to happen. So I think this is going to be an interesting ride for all of us creators to see what happens next.
Well, I mean, I got an email probably because I've used Fat Goblin Games for logo work. The Torchlight logo is from Fat Goblin Games. I've purchased their stock art, and I got a message from Fat Goblin in my email today, and it was about this. So in the last month, the influx of AI art is really hitting us illustrators hard. Last month. I mean, that blows my mind.
Very quickly developed this thing.
So not only did I lose some smaller clients, but the stock art market is being flooded with these images. Now, these images are not copyright. You can't copyright AI art, which is interesting. Although I guess you could copyright it if you then did your own photoshopping to make it unique.
And that's what people are going to do, Eric. They're going to generate art, but they're going to change up just enough so it can be copyrighted. Or they're just going to say, you know what? I just want to generate a whole bunch of interior art. I don't care. After I'm through with it, you can do whatever you want to with it. I'll just generate next adventure I'll generate a whole bunch more of interior art. I mean, it may put the stock art industry out of business.
It may.
I mean, if you could do this quickly and easily, and you're just a regular dude. I mean, I'll give you an example. I know somebody that wants to do a Kickstarter, and the one thing, and they holding me back was art, and not anymore. They're going, but like I said, I would. You don't want to put artists out of business, but I would always say I think covers need to be drawn by artists.
I do. I agree. There is there's a giant rat image that has appeared on the covers of at least 3 OSR books over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, plus been used internally. I mean, you recognize it, you see it, and you go, right. Yeah, it's a cool piece of art. But when you see the same damn piece of art on covers of different works, it's a little bit disconcerting. Now, admittedly, with the original Swords of Wizardry Continual Light, I was using stock art, but in a weird way, I was using stock art that nobody was using because it was only on James Shield's Patreon, right. And it was rejected cover art that was actually commissioned and rejected, and he had to basically start from new. So he was like, yeah, I can you can use the color version because you already own the stock art. Like, oh, so it was kind of unique, while at the same time not necessarily being unique. But now for the second edition or second printing,
Honestly, Eric, I think you and I probably need to get a show on this eventually because and probably have some artists on. I was just talking to Zach today. Zach and I we had a long conversation about this, and this is going to really impact the industry in a lot of ways. And I think it's better sooner rather than later if publishing or companies and publishers state what their position is on this, because it's going to be unavoidable very quickly. Because you're gonna have people just gonna submit AI art. When you ask, hey, could you submit some samples? Sure, and it's gonna be 25 AI samples, and you're gonna have to decide if is this something that we want to put in our adventure, or do we want to go half and half, or do we want to go with real artists only because we like to support human beings? I mean, but not that who's creating your AI isn't a human being too, because there is talent involved in manipulating the AI art to make it look really good. I mean, it'll look okay. Right. But you've got to do some work to make it look really, really nice. And
right. Yep.
It's an interesting subject. I've been fascinated by it for the past few weeks.
Oh, I think it would make a great show, especially with artists in there, so they could have their, they could really say what, what they're thinking, because that'd be an interesting show.
Because the Rick Hershey continues, because he makes he does well publishing RPG books at Fat Goblin Games, but more than half his income comes from doing client work, illustrations, covers, graphic design, and layout. While publishers play around with this new technology and grasp what it can and cannot do, I find myself needing to fill my schedule a bit more. And that, sucks. And I've always felt, in my mind, I have no artistic skill whatsoever. And I think I can still draw a battle axe that I could draw back in high school. That's about all I can fucking...
As long as the module has a battle axe in it, Eric's going
to... I can do that. But I bought books on how to do stick figures, and I can't even do stick figures. So, I mean, I just don't have that talent. And I look at people that do, and I am always amazed, and I always feel they are underpaid for the work that they do. But in this case, I'm wondering if they're going to have to adjust. I mean, like, listen, AI is not going to be able to do your layout, at least not yet. I mean, maybe it will at some point, Graphic design is more instinctual, I think, than necessarily illustrations, which you can teach these artificial intelligence to do. So it's
real world applications too. Okay, so I'm a college. I'm a small college in Texas, and I want to come up with a brochure, and I want to show a diverse portfolio of people that go to my college. I go to the AI machine. I say, I want a female Asian, a male black guy. I want a couple of white guys, one guy with bald. I mean, you could just tailor it that good.
Yes.
And boom, these are real people. You don't have to compensate them. You created fake people for your brochure, and they're all doing, and one guy's handing a book to another one, and a football player, guy with a football jersey on is handing a book in the library to somebody in a wheelchair. I mean, you can just do whatever you want, and it'll look that way. And it could be made by a firm in New York that never comes to your college or takes a picture, and they can just use, they can use this to create an image of what this college looks like. I mean, but I'm just saying, college, it's anything now. It can be advertising, any advertising, because a lot of these AI images look absolutely photorealistic. I mean, there's also, if you can photo bash too, but I mean, you could create. How about just create people that aren't even real? You don't have to compensate anybody. Nobody has to get a check for, hey, you were in the brochure, or look, most models look unhumanly beautiful anyway.
Right. So, just take a step.
Yeah, you're making another model. You're just making a model to do a lingerie modeling that looks unhumanly beautiful. Well, guess what? AI can do that too. And I'm absolutely fascinated by the subject.
I'm sure it's going to be a large part of the conversation on Friday's live stream, because we don't have James Raggy. James has to punt for 2 weeks. We're going to have him at the end of the month. But not a surprise, Rob Conley has been in back-to-back communication with Drive-Thru over this, because Rob is pretty big when it comes to things like contracts and rights and all that stuff. And from what I'm gathering, Uh, Drive-through is looking for very explicit labeling that if you're using AI art or AI maps or AI generated anything, you will spell out that you are, because they're getting a lot of pushback from creators, and I'm guessing
Well,
publishers.
I mean, I don't think necessarily think there's going to be an artist union over this, but I think that some people will say, look, you're putting real creative artists out of business with a program that anybody can use. If you do this on your modules, we're not buying your modules.
Right.
Imaginary company X, you're doing all AI art. Guess what? Well, we're going to call for a boycott of your stuff because you're not employing real people. I mean, I know it seems far fetched, but I mean, that's the kind of thing can happen. There could be a definite backlash from creative types who, I mean, and if, like Thom was saying, if you want to project that in the future, Thom's a real writer. What if he decides, well, gosh, everything I write, I can just create with a computer program. Where does that leave me? Although I think writing has a lot more nuances than, I mean, the AI written stuff now is terrible, but it can be better. Obviously, it's going to get better and better. I mean, you could do prompts to AI write, and it usually turns out really bad. I've seen some funny examples, but
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of AI is that it learns.
Yeah,
so if it's bad, it gets better. So that's the thing that scares you is that, that the content it writes currently is not so great, but it'll keep learning, and someday you'll be like, was that Tom's work or was that a machine? Don't know. They're both bad.
How about this? How about I go to my AI computer in a few years and go, write a module like Thom Wilson does. You use the Thom Wilson style, so it takes everything Tom's already written, it goes through it all, and boom, it comes out with something that has all the Thomisms that we know and love. Write like Gary Gygax. Boom, it takes everything Gary Gygax written, throws all the Gygaxisms in there, and you're looking at a lost work of Gary Gygax. Oh, this sounds just like something Gary would write. Possibilities are endless when it comes to stuff like this, really.
That's pretty
and look at the opposite. I was just telling Zach this today. What if I just went there and go, I want artwork, and so whenever I do my artwork, I put in the parameters, but I put Errol Otis in there too. So all the artwork comes out look like kick-ass Errol Otis stuff, but it's all new Errol Otis stuff. I don't know why you couldn't do that. You're just putting a person's style in there. It would just scrape, because these programs, they scrape stuff off the internet. It's going to scrape everything Errol Otis drew, and it's going to throw that style into your art. Jeff Easley, Barry Elmore. I mean, you could do all those famous people.
I did something where I was looking for a snake priestess, and I said in the style of Da Vinci, and sure enough, it was Da Vinci looking stuff. I was like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, but I understand what it's going to do. I love custom art. I love getting the physical piece and putting it on the wall, and I appreciate what these guys and gals do, and I want to support them as long as I possibly can. It doesn't mean that I can't bifurcate my work, right? Like I say, here's a $1 PDF with AI art in it, and here's a $5 PDF that has custom art with real good maps. Yep. Maybe it's a little longer content. Play the long game on those, maybe, and see what happens. I mean, I think that's going to be what small publishers like myself and other one-man shows are going to have to be faced with. Is like, what do we? Because let's not kid ourselves. It's great to have a Kickstarter project, and you make the typical OSR project probably makes $4,000 to $6,000, $8,000 maybe. Some of these crazy projects, they're OSC, sometimes they get into 30,000. That's great money, right?
Right.
But there's something about selling a bunch of $2 and $3 and $5 PDFs on drive-through, and then you get a library. Like right now, I have 85 books on drive-through. I get about $200 to $250 every month in digital sales just from my library of stuff that I've written years ago.
The tail, yeah.
And I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna keep making more and putting it out there, and get and get a little bit of money here and there. And all it does is it funds more stock art, funds paying my editor, pays for one piece of nice art from a custom artist. But it's automatic money, and the more I create on drive-through, the more money I'm going to make. So yeah, there's a market for small pieces with AI art there because it's quick and easy, and you have a huge library, and people say, yeah, it's only a couple. They're only a couple bucks. I'm going to get 2 or 3 of these, and that's just creators start to get a little bit more income that way.
In a way, I am kind of surprised that I've never heard an outcry over Kevin Crawford. When he does his projects, he releases all the art into the public domain, right? And all the art for Kevin stuff, for what was it, Worlds Without Number, and on all that stuff. It always funds to the point where the search goals is after the project is done and after it releases, the artwork goes into the public domain. Anybody can use it. High-end quality artwork. And yet you don't hear, at least I haven't heard any of my artist friends complain that Kevin is putting out this high-quality artwork for other publishers to use.
No.
Which is interesting, right? Is it because, and I'm wondering, is it because, well, an actual artist did it, but if it was done at the stretch goal, hey, this is, quasi AI art that's been touched up, and I'm putting it out, would we hear a pushback? I don't know. I find a lot of the stuff interesting as to where the line is, and does the line move depend on the publisher or the person or the artist involved? If it was, I don't know, like would Wenger get shot down the moment he did it? Whereas if it was, I don't know, the publishers of OSE and they did it, people would be like, oh, well, they're just trying to give us more material. I'm not just, I've been on juries before I was a cop, listening to the excuses people will make to justify things on the jury. I'm just wondering where that line is in the community when it comes to what your feelings are on AI or putting art into the public domain or stuff like that. Because again, Kevin putting that art into the public domain took money away from others. That's guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Made it easier for publishers, but certainly took potential money away from artists, whether it was stock art or unique art. So I'm just
look at it now. We don't have any prejudice against somebody that uses, let's say, a digital pad versus someone that still uses traditional pen and ink. Maybe it'll be more of a divide like that. Look, this guy's still an artist. He's doing different things. He's just not using the traditional pen and ink I mean, there's a lot of artists nowadays that we know. I know Jason Bronkowski does this. He uses a digital pad, so his pen never touches paper. It's all digital art. I mean, we don't consider that not art. We
nope, not at all.
It's the same thing. This is a little different, I know, but still.
I mean, artists will, I think probably the best AI art will be artists using the AI because they know what to ask the tool to do.
Right.
I just sent Tenkar one of the pictures that I came up with in Midjourney the other night, just goofing around. Like literally, probably spent 2 or 3 minutes playing with buzzwords and stuff, and I came up with this picture. I don't know if you can share it or not, but it's interesting because it's
I like that.
yeah, it's like it was super. You just ask, you ask the system about a question, or you basically phrase something, and it tries to put it up. And sometimes they're god awful, and sometimes you get the right combination of buzzwords. Maybe the order matters too. Who knows? I don't know. I just played with it for 10 minutes.
Big story.
And it just came out. There was a couple pictures that came out kind of cool. So
the big story last week about an artist who did AI art and won a.
Where did I do it?
It wasn't a big deal project, but it won an art fair. And the only words he put in were space opera theater. Yeah, so that's cool. That looks awesome.
I mean, that was just a couple buzzwords in in the Discord tool, and boom, that popped out.
I mean, the image in the upper right and the lower left, those could be your big bad evil women, gals. Big bad evil gals. I mean, they look wicked.
Yeah. So that's the thing is that, I mean, I'm a huge fan of original art, custom art, and I love when Jeff Matting and Mark Lyons and Brian Thomas and Frank all build this stuff for me because it's just I know they put a lot of sweat and tears and work into it. So I'm always going to want to use their work. I do think there is a business channel for small publishers to also use the AI, and that'd be great. I'd love to sit down with other small publishers like Skeeter Green and Levi and say, what are your plans? Because here's what I'm thinking, and we'll see what people have a like mind and sort of having some part of their business sort of move into that realm for quick stuff
Eric,
get done quickly.
I sent you a link to the article about the AI generated art that won the competition. It looks really cool too.
Wild.
But yeah, that's it's like I said. I think publishers and companies are going to have to come out with a way to do this. I mean, they're going to have a statement of fact. Here's what we do. We're not going to use this, or we are going to use it, but we're not going to use it for only interior art, or we're only going to use it for non-person drawing. I mean, they're going to have. So that was art created pretty nice. It was created with a prompt, and it won first place. And now it won first place at a Colorado State Fair, so take that with a grain of salt. But the real artists were pissed off about this because this guy, there was no prohibition that he couldn't use AI generated art, and so he submitted it and he won first prize. And they're like, "Wait a second, he didn't really draw this." He's like, "Well, yeah, I did. I prompted it, had to do the AI, and he touched it up a little bit and this and that." But I think his prompt words were space opera theater. That was all his prompt was. That created. So I mean, it's pretty amazing,
Yeah.
And so it's a really interesting subject. I'd like to do a whole show on it because I just think that it's something that's coming, and I think people are going to have to get ready for it and have to have a strategy for dealing with it.
Right.
Didn't think we'd fall into that little rabbit hole tonight. Go figure that one.
Well, pertinent stuff.
Yeah, but it is pertinent because, listen, I am a small. Tom's a small publisher. I am a micro publisher, and then like Mike is like the micro publisher underneath the micro publisher. But we've all been in this industry. We've all dealt with artists. We've dealt with writers. We've dealt with editors, and how much of this stuff is, when you move it too far to AI, do you remove the human element from it? That's another question. And then is it worth paying the same for AI art as it is for a custom art or stock art, right? Stock art pieces, what is it? Like, I don't know, I'm going to say $4.50, $5 for a black and white piece. Cover art is probably around $20 a piece if you look for something that's going to be about cover art type. I've seen these AI collections on drive-through being sold for like 10 cents a piece.
Wow.
25 pieces for $2.50. And then you're like, And I gotta say, I am not an art expert, but it looks good to my eyes, and I could see it certainly being useful. I don't think it could duplicate like Fugli's work, because Fugli has a special insight into the hobby, into the humor, into what's going on. Bad Mike is the devil, the Tenkar's toilet, and all this. But can AI get you classic artwork that would look like Frank Frazetta's work? Could it look like the cover of an old Conan comic, or Conan magazine, where they use painted covers? Could you replicate something like that in look and feel? That would probably, a cover like that could sell books. But your content might be shit, but the AI gave you a great cover.
Very possible. Yeah.
There's a science fiction short story by I keep wanting to say Philip K. Dick, but I don't think it's Philip K. Dick. But that's what I wanted to say because I have all these short stories. But it's about a writer it's the future, and that's exactly all they do. They go to a computer, sit down, and they type in an idea, and then a story comes out, and then they look at the story and decide if it's something they want or not. If not, they delete it and go on to the next story, next idea. They talk about they don't have like you have drafts. They don't have drafts. They have what they call ideas, and so they'll have a folder. It's got 100 different ideas. And it's a whole book, but it's a whole story, and they just have to edit it and go through it. And so they decide which ideas are the best and which are not. And so the paradigm of what's good writing, what's not, changes in this. It's a hypothetical future to how good an editor are you, basically, because everybody can get the same kind. Everybody can put an idea, murder mystery, where the killer is the butler, but only the best whatever editors or that there's a name for them in the story. I can't remember. They can go through and make it like a really cool story. And it's just all about. It's basically about the death of creativity. It's about how computers are going to be. People in the 60s and 70s really their theme was computers are going to take over everything. And that was probably the ultimate was obviously Terminator. The Terminator movies in the early 80s.
Right.
But that was a big theme with 60s and 70s creators when these computers are coming out. Well, computers will do everything eventually. And it took a little while longer than they thought, but here we are 50 years later, and they can do a lot of things pretty well. And they can
they're not done yet. So.
They can beat humans in chess. Humans now no longer humans can beat them in chess anymore. So that they're slowly working their way in there to do things that we can't even do anymore, or do things better than us. I'm just waiting for the robot chicks. Okay,
they're in Japan, dude. They're in Japan. Wait. You've missed out.
They don't look good enough yet, but you know what? 15 years though, they're gonna. We may live. I don't know. Who's the youngest one here? Tom? Is it Tom? Maybe.
I'm the youngest.
I turned 54 yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
The youngest brothers here may live to see the fight for robot rights, and I'm serious. That'll happen someday because robots will be terribly abused, and somebody's going to say, "This is awful that all these robots look like young females and they're being abused, and they have rights too." And I guarantee in 20 years, whoever's the youngest one here, 20 or 30 years, remember this conversation. You're going to
measure. It's the measure of the man episode of Star Trek: Next Generation.
There you go.
Asking whether Data was sentient, right? It's coming.
It is. I just don't know if we're going to live to see it, but we may because technology advances really darn quick, man. Next thing you know, it's the first robot girls didn't look that great, and I'm looking at them now like. That's not terrible. So wait about.
I can see you're going to replace your serving wenches with robots now. I see it.
We would never do that, Jessica and Jamie. No, listen to Tom. We always have it. We'll always have you here.
Good.
Yeah.
But maybe they need a helper, right? I mean, maybe need
someone to carry the stuff for them.
Right, a robot doesn't need tips; just has to pass the tips on to the others.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go. You're going to have robot rights. I'm telling you right now.
Crazy world we live in, for sure.
Well, Mike, I got to say, your connection in Zach's office is much better than.
And what's weird is I see him doing stuff, and he always dips out. So I think he does something wrong when he's on shows. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is amazing. So, well, since whatever Tom wants to talk about, we'll talk about. I want to go over my trip just a little bit. If you guys want to hear about my trip, and my weekend.
Let's do the trip.
So I went to ReaperCon. We went to ReaperCon last week. ReaperCon is about Reaper Miniatures, big convention. It's in Denton. Wonderful venue. They have a Denton Convention Center. It's only 5 years old. The first one we went to. Well, I've been to them for years and years and years. And for years and years, all they were miniature conventions. You did miniature painting, miniature games, miniature war games, whatever. The last few years, they're getting more and more RPG oriented. This year's first year went 2019. There was the most RPG dealers I've ever seen there, including ourselves, and the most RPG games I've ever seen there. And let me tell you, it's a good little convention. We had a great time there. We did really well. Our booth did really, really well, although we missed Eric Tenkar's decorating skills. Jen did a good job. You saw the pictures we had. I mean, Jen did a really good job with the booth. But it's true. You know what? That's a good little convention that's on my radar now, and Zach and I talked about it. We should be there next year too. I think in a few years, once they start getting more and more RPG stuff, that might pop up on people's radars a lot more. It was probably about. I talked to Ron, who's president of Reaper Miniatures. I think they had about 2,000 people there, which
really,
they used to have a couple hundred back in the last decade, and they built up slowly. This is like their 14th year. They haven't had as long as North Texas, but they're right up there. And they're getting to be having about 2,000-3,000 people. So they're Gary Con size at this point. And they did a great job. But Zach flew into town, and he had some stuff he got from us that was large, and we didn't want to ship it. So we jumped in the car, and we drove to Arizona. And that was a great drive. It was pretty much just drive west and flat and straight the whole way. There's very little to distract you on that drive. And we had the chili cheeseburger challenge. There is a chili cheeseburger trail in New Mexico, which is a brilliant marketing idea. That New Mexico, thumbs up. so that every restaurant that serves their own chili cheeseburger gets a mark on this map. And these, of course, these people, they do the same thing in Texas, barbecue places, taco places, chicken fried steak. They'll say, like, okay, here's all the Texas chicken fried steak official, whatever. And then you go and you get them all punched, or you're able to say, hey, I went to all 50, barbecue places. Well, New Mexico does it great. And so we picked out 3 along the way and stopped there. And it was fun, man. Green chili cheeseburgers are great. And we found some places there that, I'll be honest with you, they're better than most of the stuff I've had in Texas too. So shout out to everybody that donated to the Chili Cheeseburger Fund, which began as a joke. I didn't think anybody actually give us any money, but Gary dropped $100 in there, and then everybody else, I had about a dozen other people drop $5 to $10. Thom graciously dumped $10 in there. We appreciate it, and we had fun. It was a great trip. And so, yes, I'm at Zach's Sanctorum here, and he's got quite the collection, friends. He's got some quite amazing stuff, and he lives in an apartment on property, and he has another apartment that's actually their office. Well, everything in here, he's got just as much in that apartment too. So I think we've overlooked Zach when it comes to collecting, because he's been very quiet. He's quietly gone in there and bought stuff and won stuff, and here we are. And I'm looking at his stuff, going, "This is a pretty amazing collection."
You see any up the garden paths in there?
I bet you. Well, no,
he doesn't have one of those.
No, he doesn't have that. he would buy, but he's got. I'm looking at all the RuneQuest box sets. He's got all those, all the BattleTech box sets. It looks like every TSR box set, mini and shrink, are up here. So yeah, he's been kind of undercover and sneaking around on us, Thom, and he's actually amassed a pretty ridiculous collection here. So
that's pretty good. It's just a thank you to Dandelion Games for their comment there. It was really nice. That was a fun little adventure I wrote for, let's say, 2 years ago or 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I forget which one that one was, but that was a little fun one, high level one, really deadly. But again, a free one. See, Mike, put it right in the old.
I know, but
put it right in there.
But
just gotta let me. If I wasn't doing big adventures from North Texas, I do short ones for you to put in your bags. Don't worry.
Well, what's the funny thing? So Thom absolutely just volunteers everything here. Now, North Texas, we pay for the printing, obviously. We pay for some of the art and stuff. But Thom does everything, writing, layout. And he's a good layout guy, man. Let me tell you, his stuff looks great because he does it in the old school style. It looks great. And he doesn't ask for anything. He just appreciates old school stuff. And it's actually good. Some people, in the industry, or they'll throw stuff at you free, but you can tell it wasn't their best work. It was something like, I'll donate this to North Texas because whatever. Thom's stuff is good, man. It's all good.
I write stuff I want to play. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah. You got. So I brought a couple of things. We had a lot of Frog God stuff at the booth. I brought B 2.5 and X 1.5. I brought a stack of 10 each. And I was down more than half by the end of the con. And these are not normally. This isn't your big RPG crowd. These are mostly miniatures, and they do a little bit of RPGs. But once I explained it was compatible with OSC, they snapped them up.
Oh, nice.
Because they are absolutely compatible with OSC. So
I think B 2.5 is on its third printing now, isn't it?
It is third printing. So
wow.
First printing 250, then we had the last couple have been 150, but yeah, it's on its third printing. And I did not know we're getting a little lower on X 1.5 than I thought. We may have to have another printing of that before next year too. Okay. See how that goes. But yeah, the guy that does the printing for Thom does a great job. I don't have any here because obviously I'm not in my home territory, but they look like an old school module. They have a detachable cover.
Right.
I mean, everything.
Might have a cool spot.
I shipped you some stuff for ShireCon. He probably has some there. I shipped him a couple examples. Let's go ahead and pay them. If anybody's interested in these, let me know. The money goes 100% to North Texas. So, which reminds me, I need to put the money that I made on that into the North Texas fund. I forgot about that. But yes, they go 100% North Texas. What are we looking at here?
This is why I can't find anything in my office right now because that's all.
I sent you a box and there was a copy in the box. Where's the box I sent you?
It's all ShireCon. It's just loaded up all everywhere. I'll find it eventually. But yeah, those old ones are real nice. So
anybody's interested, let me know if you're interested. B 2.5 X 1.5. But yes, we should have Lost City addendum in. It's pretty much finished now, right? Or it's about finished.
Well, it's in the last section is being edited right now. Then I'm gonna lay it out. We got all the interior art from that young artist that you hooked me up with, which is great. We have Brian piece in there.
David, David did some really good old school type.
We might have some, and I still have the maps to get done by Glenn, but he knows he's got some time, so he'll hit those when I'm ready. But I should actually have it ready for printing before the end of the year, which is way early for next year.
I wouldn't mind it coming out early. It depends on what you think too. We went because all the.
I'll do it at your pleasure, Mike. You tell me what you want, and we'll get it done.
We'll talk about it because I hate to have something that creative just sitting on the shelf for a while. People could be looking at it and playing it. So we may release it early for online sales only, and then you can pick up if you want to. Well, the great thing about picking it up in person is you get Thom to sign it there. So
right,
that would be awesome.
And remember, this one does have a piece from Charlie Phipps again. So
Charlie's in there,
so he'll.
Yeah, but I can't get Charlie to come to my con. Charlie won't come to North Texas.
He comes to my con. What's going on?
Because he lives up there. It's it. You got the East Coast nailed down. You got all those East Coast guys like Joe the Lord, Rob Conley, and all those guys are nailed down for you. So
sure.
And I don't complain. I got everybody in Texas nailed down. We got all the Dennis Stairs and the Steve Marshes and whatever. So it helps to have those regional guys that show up to your regional convention. But Thom and Tammy are coming. That's awesome.
Yep, went out from Maine. That's great. Yep. Yeah, I'll be. I'm not actually starting to set up the con until Thursday night. So Thursday night I'll be moving in tables and loading in boxes and such, getting things sort of ready to go. And then Friday is the big day where I get everything ready, usually done by noon. That's why Friday night we'll start playing games, or Friday afternoon we'll start playing games. But if people are in town and they want to swing over and I'm there, there's things to do. So don't.
And nobody's going to stop you from playing the game, right? I mean, you're not going to say,
of course not.
Hey, the con's not yet. Pick that up. There's no con here yet. Yeah.
Well, last year I was the only vendor, which was kind of good because I made a lot of money, and it was kind of terrible because I was the only vendor. I didn't have a good selection, right? So this year we got the Game Reserve coming in from I think it's I want to say Middleborough. I'm not sure of the town exactly, but I think it's Middleborough. But James out of Game Reserve's coming in. He goes to TotalCon every year. He's bringing a whole bunch of stuff to sell. Joe Block will be back with a booth this year with his new Adventures Dark and Deep books that he's got from the last year or so. I'll still have a vendor booth, but I'm going to downsize a little bit. I'm giving away a lot more. I'm giving away a lot more this year because North Texas, Frog God, and a bunch of people have just given me a lot. Page Center actually gave me probably 20 hardcover books. I mean, everybody just donates, which is fantastic. So that stuff's going to get given away or sold for auction cheap, just so people can get a chance at it. And then we got Chet Minton coming in, the artist.
Oh, really?
He's coming in. He's going to be giving away a custom color print that he made for the con, which is really cool. And then we'll have that young artist, Megan Spaniel, back doing commissions. She said she did so well last year. It was like, it was better than working a couple weeks in retail. So she made really good money. She'll come back and do that again. Hopefully we can drive some business to her again so she can do some artwork. But we have, we're going to have a lot more this year, which is fantastic. And more people, more vendors, more stuff to give away. It's just, you can't go wrong, and more time to play with Friday opening up. So
people that are interested in writing stuff for the industry and write. Look, think about old school stuff. Old school people who are into old school are extremely loyal, as you see by Thom's story. I mean, Thom's getting crap from everyone because everybody wants to promote old school. But you know what we do? We spend a lot of money. We're old and we got all this money in our pocket. And that was one of the reasons I think we did so good at ReaperCon this year. We had a lot of older people walk in there. And they were like, we have, we got old school stuff too. So they were buying that as much as anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, old school people are extremely loyal, and they got cash. So think about
that.
I
mean, we get the same criminals coming up from, the city that like to spend their money. And last year there wasn't a lot to spend money on because it was just my stuff. And my stuff's, I had some old TSR stuff and some of my own product line, and odds and ends, just little things here and there. But James is going to be bringing up, minis and dice and 5e and old school and board games and just like a whole bunch of stuff in it. So I think it's going to be really nice. For a small con like me that gets 100 people, having more than one vendor is obviously a really good thing. I don't think I'm ever going to see that kind of vendor hall that North Texas gets or any of the bigger cons because we just don't have that draw yet. But once we start getting there and we start to get more vendors coming in, I think it's going to be a blast.
So you need, so how old's your grandkids?
So my oldest is 8, then 5,
okay,
then a year.
So that's the thing. That's what I ran into with my booth. Is I had a couple conventions where my grandson wasn't quite young or old enough to run it, and you're stuck behind the booth all day. You can't because your booth is doing so much business. Like I can't leave.
That's why I have volunteers.
Yeah, when the grandkid gets old enough, boom, you stick them back there, and you're like, oh, I'm back to the. Wow, I'm actually having fun at the con again. I'm not having to stick behind the booth.
Well, I have 5 volunteers, the same, pretty much the same group for every year. I have one that runs the registration desk for me. One or 2 or 3 rotate through the vendor booth.
That's
I have
good.
one's usually a runner to get stuff that we've forgotten or need to go fetch for people, and then I have a floater who's helping out with whatever. And it just works out. I mean, we got 5.
We don't have that many people in North Texas. How do you do this? We don't get this many volunteers.
Listen, again, advice from Alex Kamer. What did he say? Get volunteers that you trust that are going to show up every year and do the work. And that's what I've got. I got 5 people. All my volunteers are absolutely fantastic. They work hard. They care about the con as much as I do. That's what it takes. Good volunteers.
God bless.
And good GMs. We have some great GMs that come in every year and run 2 or 3 games even, and it's fantastic. So
yeah, who wants to want to go to a con? You run something by Rob Conley, Joe Block, and Thom Wilson. I mean, come on, man, that's like Murderer's Row.
Then Levi comes and he runs something. He's going to run Escape from Volcano Island this year, so people are all excited about that. Yeah.
Or you might want to, I'm not counting Eric out here, but
no, I'm here.
Compared to these
can't
guys,
count me out. It's like
Eric and I know our limitations. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm good, but I'm not great. And I can say that because I game with Rob Conley, Tim Shorts, and both of them amazing GMs. Greg Christopher, an amazing GM. Joe the Lawyer, an amazing GM. Matt Jackson, amazing mapper. And the Dyson Light.
Right.
That's for you, Matt. Love you. But an amazing mapper, great game. So as a player, I'm always challenged when I'm playing with this group. But as a GM, you're even more challenged because you know what you're up against. You got to give your A game. You just can't just phone it in. And that's my feeling at conventions too. You got to give your A game. People are going because they're going to play games and socialize, and they don't want to go, oh yeah, I played in the game. It was okay. What'd you do? I don't know. I killed something, maybe. I think I did.
Yeah.
Oh wait, looks like Lou has a little question there for you. You may have another luminary that wants to come to ShireCon there.
Oh, yeah. Where's he out of, Lou?
He's going to be in New Hampshire for a wedding.
Oh, depends on what part of New Hampshire, because New Hampshire's a long state. You could be 4 hours away, or you could be less than 2 hours. It depends. See, what is he asking? How many things stay live?
You need to message him, Lou, because it sounds like you might have a.
Yeah, Friday night we'll run. We'll probably run till 9-10 o'clock, give or take, and then Saturday, even though we say we close up at 9, 10:30, 11, depends on how many people are there. We might be volunteers, and I might be bustling around trying to get ahead of cleaning up for Sunday, but we're still there. We got Matt Roberts and a friend of mine, Pete Hannon. They both bring competing bottles of scotches. We try to drink up the scotch. So
if you got Matt there, that bar's not closed, or his bar.
Yeah, he has a portable bar that he brings. Yeah. So I mean, we don't really have a set close time as long as people are having fun. We try to keep it kind of keep it loose. Just know that there's gonna be a bustle around you as people clean up and stuff. So coming down from New Hampshire is not too far, but it can be a distance.
I'm not quite ready to drive 3 days yet, but when I am, I gotta hit ShireCon.
We'll get you up here.
You got the new car.
We'll get you up here.
Never gonna fly again. But I say that I might fly in a few months to go back to LongCon. But no, I would have to make a plan to go up there. But it's a great time of year to go up there too, right? This is like turning the leaves stuff, and so maybe I can convince the wife to go on a nice.
Yeah, the weather's usually mid-September. The weather's usually starting to turn like brisk in the afternoons and evenings, and warm sunny days, and we've got some good things to see. Like if you want to walk on the Appalachian Trail, goes right to the middle of town, which is cool. It's a cool little town. I mean, it's rural, so you're going to see, for those people who live in cities, what's the town look like that has less than 1,000 people? Well, Falls Village will show you that. So,
Hey, Mike, maybe next year, fly up to New York. We'll do a few days in the Poconos with the wives.
See, now you're talking.
Poconos, drive over to ShireCon, stay at ShireCon for a night or two.
What city is ShireCon in?
the town's called Falls Village.
Fall Village.
Falls Village. Yep, we have the second highest falls east of the Mississippi. When it rains, you can't even hear anything within quarter mile of the falls. They're roaring. So
let's see what we're looking at hour wise here.
It's gonna be a long drive.
I like to drive though. We just got the big tank. I mean, we got the big giant.
Right. You said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that was like, oh my gosh, the ride here was wonderful. It was a nice 2-day drive. So yeah, 3 days wouldn't kill it. I mean, because it's a lot to look at, right? I mean, so.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're gonna get through. You're gonna go through you're gonna go through some fun states there.
All right, let me see. Driving, okay. No. We're just a simple 24 hours. I could do 24 hours in a row. No, I couldn't.
That's tough, man.
We're talking
that's
3 8-hour days. That's not horrible. That is a long drive, though.
You got to do them on the way back too. Don't forget.
So that's 6 hours. Maybe after retirement, Tom. Maybe after my wife and I retire a few years.
There you go.
Well, we'll see how things go.
We go visit Eric at the Poconos, and then head on down to ShireCon, then head back to Poconos, and head to town. We'll take 2, 3
Well, if things keep progressing, I'm going to grow this slowly. If it keeps progressing, we'll get there. It's just I'm not eager to rush into it because of the risk involved there. If it takes us 10 years to get to something that's 3 days, that's what it'll be.
You know what you're comfortable with, and that's one thing that's why Eric and I capped this at 500 real early, because we knew what our limitations were, and we didn't want to have to hire a lot of outside people. We didn't want to have to, there's a lot of things we didn't want to do, and realized that 500 is a cap. If you get over 500, when you start to hiring people. Because you got to have people work stuff, and we were happy with what we have. And Gary and I talked about this, and we're happy with what we got now. David too. It's 500 is fine. We're absolutely okay with that. So you hit the point that you're happy with, and you do that. That's what you need to do. I mean, don't overextend yourself. I've seen so many cons go under because they overextended. Because we've talked about this before. The economics of cons. If you have 100 people, $80 a piece, that's $8,000. But guess what? If you get 1,000 people, it's $80,000, and so on and so on. So people get tracked to that money. You're like, oh man, if we could build our con, and they don't have the things in place that are necessary to actually build the con. They just want to make a lot of money by having a lot of people. I went to a con in East Texas years ago that they had triple the amount of people they had the year before, and it was awful because they didn't change the venue, and it was just people packed in like sardines. It was absolutely terrible.
Good.
We had a good time there because Doug went and rented all the private game rooms there, and we ran all our games in the private room. And there's a funny story because Jim Ward was there. One of the reasons we drove there, it's about 2.5 hour drive, was because Jim Ward was going to be there. So we get there, and Jim Ward has a table in this game room, and we're talking. Everybody's like this. I mean, they're just crammed together. Like, there's no way Jim can run a game in here. I mean, it was loud, noisy. So we went to the front desk. We said, how much for the private rooms upstairs? They said, something really reasonable, like $100 for the weekend. We're like, Dad slaps a $100 bill down there. So we get Jim, we grab him, bring him upstairs, and said, you're running your game in here now. It's this gorgeous private room with a big table, a bathroom, a coffee urn, a wet bar or whatever. I mean, it was great. So, nice. but the rest, and there's this thing where you can look down on the rest of the con, and I felt like Caligula looking down on the Roman audience because they're just crammed in there. They had like one of the Doctor Who actors was there, but they had some, somewhat big stars. So a lot of people had showed up, but they had triple the people the year before, and it was awful. And I think they got I heard they got a lot of really bad feedback for that because dealers didn't do very well because. When you're crammed that big, you don't want to walk in the dealer hall. And I remember walking the dealer hall, and you're walking like this, all in a line. You have to just walk past that. Well, if you stop the whole line behind you, and it was
it's tough.
So the moral is just you just do what you can do, and what you're comfortable with, and people will come to your con, man.
Yeah,
people will come.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grow it slow. We're gonna enjoy enjoy the process. Again, I don't do it for profit. I do it to just make sure everyone has a good time gaming. I try to take some of the extra money I make each time it grows a little bit more and put it back into the con so that I can do more the next year, more printing, more more things for the swag bag. So the money just goes right back into it, But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, I don't know where the end is on this thing. I don't know where what the cap is. I think I don't think it ever. I think maybe half the size of North Texas seems reasonable to me, but I don't know how many days that is. I don't know where that venue is. I don't know any of those things until we get a little bit closer. Right now, we're looking at probably somewhere between 100 and 115 people that Saturday, which is cool. A day and a half. It all feels good right now.
Right.
We'll just keep running with it.
I don't know who are in this area, but let me tell you, Eric and I both talked about this. We don't do big cons anymore. It's just it's out of our. We just don't want to do it. And the best thing you do with these small cons like ShireCon or Nortex, whatever, these are the best cons to attend. They really are, because you get the whole con experience, but you're not crowded. You're not jam-packed. Right. You can hear things, everything. There's not a long line at the booth where you get stuff to eat or the restaurant. I can't attend Gen Con anymore. I don't want to mess around with 65,000 people. I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so these small cons, if you support these small cons, you're actually going to get a lot more bang for your buck. You really are.
Yeah. Well, I went to Gen Con 1 year just to do it. And actually I went there because one of my pieces of one of my books got nominated. Of course didn't win because my company's not called WotC or Paizo.
Paizo, yeah, exactly.
But
or Chaosium,
yeah, right. So I went there for that, but I really went there to sit. Basically, I spent 2 of the 5 days in the auction hall and beefed up one big section of my collection that I was trying to firm up. I just bought stuff over and over and just kept mailing it home.
The auction goes all day long.
I know
it goes all the way till midnight, and if you wait it out, you can find some good deals because
I did. I found some good stuff.
You get bored of bidding sometimes, and you don't know what's going to come up when. Although they have sections like, okay, these are going to be these kind of science fiction games, there's dice. But even then, man, you can get some great deals there. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I went there 1 year for that reason. I think I sent home 4 big boxes of stuff that I bought and firmed up. I was trying to firm up some of the last of my second edition stuff, and I got most of it there that year. So it was good to go once, but you're right. I'll do North Texas every year. I'll go to TotalCon every year.
Yeah.
There's a couple other ones that are on my list to do once or twice, but as for like every year cons, really it's just TotalCon and North Texas for me because they're just the right size. Or like in the case of TotalCon, it's the same people that I want to see because they're just we've gotten so close. So
right.
Well, you're well. I mean, I haven't officially asked you, but you're a special guest at North Texas this year. You know that, so you are live and you attend. You're a special guest.
I appreciate that. Yeah, North Texas was Texas was the first con I started going back when I started doing cons again. That was the first one I went to. Instantly fell in love with the atmosphere and the people.
Yep.
And I've only missed I think one since. That's it.
Same with me. When I came back to going to conventions, and the joke was I was supposed to go with Joe the lawyer. His finances wouldn't allow it. So then Rachel's like,
Joe, do your finances still not allow it after?
No. Now he's going. Now he's working. I think Joe and Matt are going next year.
Oh, well. Okay, I'm intrigued by this.
And I believe the Verholts, Tommy and Timmy and Thom.
I know they're
excellent.
But no, so Rachel's like, oh, well, you already have the room. I'll go. I'm like, you don't game.
I'm bringing my wife.
I'll explore Dallas.
Yeah. She explored what? She explored the ballroom of games.
No, I have friends in the area. They did come down. They took us out to go to Fort Worth and all that stuff. It was nice, but she was hooked on gaming. She got to play in a Tim Schneider game. I wasn't stupid. Tim Schneider, Zach Glazer. Oh God, now I'm turning senior. But it was a bunch. It was people that I knew were good GMs and weren't running standard games, so she wouldn't feel like, oh, I'm in a game and everybody knows the rules. Tim Schneider was running Time Master. Who the fuck remembers that game except for a handful of people?
No.
It's like,
I feel really bad. For those who don't know, Tim has had some really horrible eye problems the last couple of years.
yes,
But he ran and runs incredible games, usually based on really weird properties.
Dune 1 year. I was like, holy shit.
Dune, wow, that's a crazy game too.
Yeah, and Glenn Hallstrom was his second doing half the voices. That was amazing.
I can imagine that for sure.
So yeah, so just damn good times. Damn good times.
Well, ShireCon's the set. I hear so much good stuff about ShireCon. It's one of the cons that really makes me bummed out that I don't attend. But yeah, I hear so much good stuff there.
Well, I mean, I got it. Like I said, I can't say it enough times. Talking to Mike and Doug and Alex and the guys at LongCon, about just their experiences. I didn't want to know what things should I do. I want to know what things should I avoid doing, and
Right.
I got so much good feedback from people. Specifically Doug. Doug actually took some time out of his convention schedule to have lunch with me one day, and let me just hammer him with questions. And he took it like a champ and just answered them all. And then I had breakfast with Alex. I think Alex the next day or the day after that, and he answered all the in between questions. And that kind of information is invaluable, right? And I learned, okay, do these things, don't do these things the first year, and see how it goes. And everything went exactly the way they said it would. And if people who know me know that I'm a bit of a planner and I'm a little organized, so I had that part down, being able to make sure that I could get all the things done. I pride myself in doing a good job there. But knowing the things that they told me early was invaluable. Otherwise, I probably would have screwed something up along the way.
That's the great thing about the small con circuit too. These aren't competition. These aren't people competing with each other. None of us compete with each other, and that's what's great. That's why we don't mind sharing knowledge or sharing stuff, because we all do our own thing in our own time in our own place. And
it's not zero sum. It might be zero sum if you were scripted for the same weekend, but con goers will go to as many conventions as they enjoy. And that's what it comes down to. And, listen, I like Gary Con, but is it worth the drive from the airport and getting a rental car to go to a convention every year? For me? No. I don't like crowds that remind me of the New York subway system. I had that at my last Gary Con, so I can't do that again. Game Hall runs like clockwork. This year we would have been there if it wasn't for the fact that what is it? The game clocks, whatever the clocks or whatever the schmucky college team is.
Don't let Alex hear you say it. The Bulldog,
the Badgers,
Badgers.
Whatever team is there took all the hotel rooms, and then we had to tap out. But we're gonna probably do Vegas instead. So I'm sure I'll just spend the same amount of money another way. It'll all work out. But
Lou here's got a question.
Oh, what's this? There's a lot of words. It's gonna be a tough question, I think. Hold on, let me read it.
There's a lot of words for saying, do you know advice for making quick play adventures?
Yeah, I mean, again, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. It's like I write stuff that I want to play. So if it's an idea that I think would be a good little hook, a good little side thing, a good little short adventure, I outline it first, I put it in writing, and then I let it run from there. And I mean, I prefer writing small stuff to big stuff. Now, I've done big stuff. Like I did a lot of Teagle Manor. I wrote a huge book for Pacesetter last year called The Lost Triptych, and I loved it. It was a blast writing a big book, 160,000 words, massive, right? But I prefer the 8, 16, 24-page stuff. I love 4-page digests, flip a paper over. I love that kind of stuff because it's like quick. I mean, who doesn't need, I got to run something on the side here because they decided they're going to do something different than I planned, and you just pull something out. I mean, I started off, if you look back at my earliest work, you'll see that I did a whole line called Excursions, Off the Beaten Path. And I did forests, I did mountains, I did water excursions, I did desert excursions. And they're a book of like 25 or so little 1 to 2 pagers, and that's sort of how I started. And I really haven't tried to move too far from that because I really like writing that short stuff, that's short and sweet, get it out there, let people play it. So I think my advice is just, if it's something that you're going to need or you'd want to play, put it out. Put it out. Short doesn't matter anymore. I mean, you don't need to write epic, 3-tome, 10-year campaign books. Like who's going to have the patience for that in this day and age? It's like, are we playing tonight? I don't know. I got to start late. We're going to wrap it up. All right, pull something out quick, play it, have fun, wait till next time, do it again. So to me, the short stuff's better. I just love it.
And I know the campaign I'm doing now, Highfell, Greg Gillespie's Highfell, when they adventure in the wizards, this bunch of wizards tower, we're on a mountaintop. The mountaintop blew off and it's floating through the air. Well, there's always areas you can go to. If I'm not ready to go one weekend, that's exactly what I do. I pull a little digest adventure for somebody or a little 4 or 5 page adventure. I stick that on the island, and as you're walking across the floating island, this is what you want to do. This is going to be your adventure today, and it works great. Those are probably the most used adventures. Are the little 5 and 6 page mini adventures like that. So
yeah, I mean, like the one that's going in ShireCon, the Fortress of Souls this year. It's like literally. So it's like there's a couple of maps, a bunch of encounter areas. Maybe 1 or 2 pieces of art just to have it so that there's something visual to look at. I think this has got 14 areas in the theme of OSE. So it's bullets and a couple blurbs and a little bit of read aloud text or whatever. Yeah, how long does this take to play? A couple hours maximum, but it's a good fill-in. So I just love that. Plus, I like to finish things. So you start it, you finish it, move to the next thing, start it, finish it. Otherwise, I'd be, you guys know, I'd be working on 27 things at the same time, and I can't do that all the time. Just once in a while.
Just once in a while. Not today.
I like to finish some things, So
I don't know how he does it, folks. He's insane. Because I know when we were working on X 1.5, like I did 2 or 3 encounters, I can't remember. And Thom obviously did everything else. And he did everything else before I finished my 3 encounters. Of course, I'm slow too. But, I'm sitting there going, oh, it's going to take him a little time. I don't really need to hurry him to where like, oh, I'm through with everything. I'm like, I got to hurry. I got to get this done. I'm done. I'm through. How did you get through so quick? Come on.
I think my best trait, and whether it's, years of experience or just pure luck, is that I never run into any roadblocks when I sit down to write. It's like I can get my fingers going seconds after I sit down. I'm very fortunate in that way. I've never had writer's block. I've always been able to just generate words and ideas. So I'm fortunate. So for me, and I can do about, I say on average night, about 1,500 words an hour. So I can crank through some stuff. And am I the best writer out there? Am I like the most eloquent? No, not. But I write stuff that's very straightforward, very old school. Maybe not Gygaxian because he was very wordy and verbose, but very straightforward. I write my stuff so that young adults through older adults can read it one time through without having to reread a section. What does that mean? So I don't use a lot of fancy language because I don't feel like it's necessary, right? So I just try to bang it out, get it done, and I've been lucky. I've been on this long roll of just putting out things. I know it's got to end some point. Maybe when I die. I don't know, but
put out one part of your over of adventures is post-apocalyptic. You write some really good post-apocalyptic stuff. Is there any plan to publish that? Because I know you did a bunch of digests, which I think I have all your post-apocalyptic digests. Really good stuff. Are you going to publish a system or a collection at any time soon, like you did the?
Here's the thing. What's funny, and this I don't think I've really told anybody this. Sort of probably news to everybody, but I was actually planning on reskinning Gamma World when I heard the Barshes were going to do Gamma X, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna jump in that pool. I'll wait." But I do like writing adventures, and I actually have an idea for them that I hope we talked about on the shuttle back from North Texas to the airport last year. When they finally put out Gamma X, I might have an adventure in there for them. It's sort of like a post-apocalyptic Judge Dredd meets, Towering Inferno kind of idea. So we'll see how that works out. But I've got something outlined, ready to go when they're ready. They told me they need it. But yeah, I love writing Gamma World and post-apocalyptic. That's why I said before I would, if the Choose Your Own Adventure book does well, my next one will be post-apocalyptic. So I just love that genre. The first role-playing game I ever played was Moldvay Basic, but that was given to me by somebody who was moving away from the town that we lived in. But the first game I spent my hard-earned, mowing lawns money was Gamma World. That was my first box that I bought, and I played the crap out of that for a whole summer. Love that game. So I run a lot of Gamma World at North Texas. I actually have written some exclusives for North Texas that are hard to come by now, that are were limited print runs.
Used to die. So before we did the basic expert stuff, you used to donate a digest every year. But some years you had a digest and an adventure. So
Yep.
And then last year was great. We had the compilation of Back to Basics, which is awesome.
Yep. Number 11.
And you had a new issue 11, which is it was cornucopia of goodness from Thom Wilson.
Yeah, well, like I said, this coming year you'll get big Beyond the Lost City book, which will be a lot of fun. So
nice.
Yeah. What am I gonna do after that, Mike? I have no idea. I have no idea about 2024.
There's plenty of BX stuff. Look, I picked up the other day. I picked up Horror on the Hill, and I was reading through that, going, I used to like running this. I've got an idea for a lost level of Horror on the Hill, so
nice.
Riff off that because I've got to work on it a little bit. But there's lots of air. The third level of Horror on the Hill. There's an underground stream, and I'm like, wonder where that stream goes if players want to, so.
There's an endless amount of stuff.
Oh God, yes.
Endless amount of stuff you can do, which is great. It's funny because the other day, I think it was last week, Friday or Thursday, I forget what it was now. I found this really cool tool online called Tier Maker. It basically lets you take stuff and put them in five or more tiers or less tiers, whatever. You kind of rank stuff. So I thought, well, what would be what would be a better flaming bomb to throw in a Facebook page than tiering and ranking all the BX and BE of the BECMI adventures in a list from good to bad. And I threw that out there, and man, there's been some serious flame wars from people disagreeing and all that stuff.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I need to go back there. I did not do a deep dive.
There's a lot of people who disagree with my opinions. That's the fun part of it. It's like, yeah, okay. I think personally B1 through 9 is a piece of garbage. Sorry, that's my opinion. You don't like it? Okay, that's all right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got typos, it's missing content, it's garbage. It's unplayable.
B1's not in B1 through 9. It's the
yeah, exactly. And somebody said, well, how can you keep on the Borderlands top? It's not. It's like, well, I disagree. I think it's at the top of the list. My personal opinion. So
come up with your own list.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Well, I got to look at that again because I saw that post. I kind of skimmed it. I've got to find that post again.
We're actually going to do something in the same vein at ShireCon. I'm going to print out all the module covers of BX and BE of the BECMI, right? I missed 2 of them in that tier, so I'm going to print those out. I'm going to print out little sheets, and I'm going to make a grid on a pushpin board, and I'm going to put them in my rankings, and I'm going to allow people to move them around. We'll see how many people move them all over the board by the end of the weekend.
That's genius.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Watch people go, nope, that goes down. Nope, that goes up.
Well, it's true of anything that no matter how bad something is, it's somebody's favorite, and no matter how good something is, somebody hates it. Which I don't get that. I've had so many people. So probably one of the worst modules I've written is N3. No, I'm sorry, N2. I think it is. And it's really I can't remember the name of it. It's so terrible. And I know some people that's their favorite module. I'm like, it's awful. It's horrible in every way, shape, or form. And yeah, I'm like, that's a great adventure. I love that.
Also the Reptile God?
No, a couple of Reptile Gods number N1. That's great.
Destiny of Kings?
No, Destiny of Kings is actually good. What's N2? I can't remember. N2.
It's the one with the island where you start from 0 level?
No, I like that one too. That one's great. I'll find it.
You like them all. Stop it.
But here's the thing, Mike. If it's your first adventure and it hooks you onto D&D,
the Forest Oracle.
The Forest
yeah.
Oracle, yeah. That's infamous.
And that one had the ugliest font as the title as well. I was trying to be it's just
the layout is terrible too. It's bad. But it has some great Tim Truman art in there, but everything else about it's awful. And honestly, some people think that's my favorite.
But it might have been one of their first adventures they played. So therefore,
I mean,
can't be your best module. There's so many good modules out there. It can't
But
be.
if you first one, you
Yeah,
get
nostalgia, man. It's about nostalgia too. You got to remember.
Yeah,
a lot of points.
Tabletop was right. B2 and B10. I also think B1 is pretty amazing. So
yep.
And then the X series, X1 is, I mean, you can have a whole campaign. And I did. I ran kids one time, a bunch of kids in the neighborhood, friends of mine, and myself and the dad played too. We did N1 or X1 for like 2 years. Because you can put anything. Put anything on the island. The poor kids tried to kept escaping, and we kept.
Well, my favorite X is the Castle Amber. It's just, to me, it's just such a fun adventure, and if you get it, you get it. So
when I first read it, I'd never read any Clark Ashton Smith, and that made me want to hunt down Clark Ashton Smith. So it was great. The same way that the Conan comics made me want to hunt down Robert E. Howard.
Exactly.
X2 made me want to hunt down Clark Ashton Smith, which he's the most talented of the Three Musketeers of Weird Tales. He doesn't get as much spin, but his stuff is amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Wow. Now, did you believe an hour ago we'd actually be coming up on 2 hours?
Easy when old Grognard start talking about books, man.
We'll start talking. What's the topic? I hate this question, by the way. You guys do these live streams, but what's the topic? There's never a topic.
We never have a topic necessarily. And if we're talking to somebody like Thom, we're going to drift off. We're always going to drift off.
The topic is organic. We'll come in. We're going to talk about Thom stuff for the first half of the show. And then the last half of the show is, to a large extent, driven by the live stream, driven by the people that are commenting and moving us along. So when I get frustrated when I hear that question. I like your live streams, but you guys don't have any topics. Well, if you like it, does it really matter that we don't have any topics?
And not only that, Eric and I, when we talked about doing this, one thing we both didn't like was the kind of live stream where they said, okay, we're going to do 20 minutes on this, 5 minutes on that, 10 minutes on that, and they do the same schedule every time. Now, I understand why some people do that. It keeps them on time, and it keeps it. But we wanted to look. If we hit something we liked, we spent 20 minutes tonight talking about AI art. That wasn't even because I wanted Tom's opinion of that because Tom's a smart guy. And so that allows us to drift off on different tangents without having to. Oh, we got to talk about what old school module we like the best this 5 minutes. Then we got to talk about.
But it's not 9:57 yet. What do you mean?
God damn you, God damn it.
I love your show because of that reason. You guys just kind of hex crawl it, wander around. And I think it's great because then you just get whatever is off the top of the head just comes out. So,
I mean, even Gamers Health, the break tonight. Gamers Health. We do brainstorm. Now, admittedly, the brainstorm was usually at the pub a few hours ahead of time. And Rach doesn't drink alcohol at the moment. She'll change at ShireCon.
Yeah,
but she's been off. She's been off the booze because of the calories. God bless her. I'm on the booze because of the flavor.
I bought a bottle for tonight, but in our crazy
rush behind
to go across the parking lot, I bought a bottle of Buffalo Trace. I was going to taste it, and I left it back at the office. So I did this completely sober.
I got my first bottle of Buffalo Trace up in the Poconos. I got to pop it open.
It's very good.
It's been hard to find.
I had to buy it here in Arizona.
Shows I watch.
You can't get it anywhere in Dallas. I had to buy it in Arizona. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I found it in Poconos. I was like, gotta get it.
So let me answer that question real quick. So how close are the falls to the town center? You can walk there. That's how close they are. It's not a short walk. It's probably a 15 to 20-minute walk. And obviously with a drive, it's about a minute and a half. Just right over the Houstonic River, over the bridge, and up the hill. If it's rained at all the few days before ShireCon, you can hear them from the venue. That's how close they are. So,
all
right, go back to your booze talk.
Booze talk. We always got to do our booze talk because we want to get spots.
I was going to have scotch tonight, but I decided to do a seasonal.
Diet Coke anyway. So yeah, I'll drink something before I go to bed. I have a toothache, so but I've had a 2-week-long toothache that's between on this trip. I haven't been able to get it fixed. So yeah, it might not be pretty in about 3 or 4 days. I mean,
when you back back home?
I'll be back. My wife's so this is cool too. My wife's flying into town. We're gonna drive back because we like to spend time together in the car. And it's weird,
That's good.
but I know Eric does too. You drive with Rachel all the time, so it's fun. And so we're gonna drive all the way back, and so I'll be able to get. Hopefully Monday I'll be back. We'll be back Sunday afternoon, and then at that point I'm gonna start knocking on dentist's door. I'm supposed to get a crown on it Wednesday. I don't think I can wait till Wednesday. They put like this temporary veneer on it. It's crap. Anytime I drink something cold, or if a piece of food happens to go there and I crunch down on it, it's just a temporary little thing. Oh, it hurts like sweat. Like I'm doing Marathon Man with the drill in the mouth. I mean,
so what you're saying is that this past week was the perfect week to send you to eat shit and
yeah, exactly. Then I had to eat all this shit. We ate so the first night out, we went to Amarillo and stopped by the biggest tourist trap in the universe. It's the place you've all seen it on television where they have the 72-ounce steak, and if you can eat it in an hour, you get it for free. Because it's expensive, and you have to eat the sides too. They don't tell you that, but you got to eat the sides too. And so Zach and I ordered the steak, and we said we're not doing the contest because we cannot eat this steak because it's this big. I mean, it's gigantic. You saw the pictures on Facebook; it's gigantic. And so, we made it about a third between both of us. We did about a third. We're like, wow. And nobody. But what surprised me was we talked to the waitress. Said, do people succeed the challenge? Because while we're there's a couple guys up there at the table on the bed thing up there, and they have the timer, and you can see on the video, and they're just like, ugh. And she said 1 out of 10, which that's a higher number than I would have expected. She said about 10% make it through there and get the free steak.
And of those 10%, 90% are probably purging in the bathroom afterwards. Like
I wish they could. Anyway.
Good Roman.
Well, somebody posted on my post that they did it.
Vomitorium.
They did it when they were 16, and they said their jaw hurt the next day from chewing, and I believe them because steak, even kind of rare steak, you got to chew. You get to swallow whole. If you want to swallow meat whole, you're going to choke to death. So I understand. Yeah, I can get that your jaw would just be like, oh my god, what a workout. So that was This wasn't the weekend to have tooth issues, but I made it through. Toughed it out.
Well, God bless you. Now, this past week, I had my son. He came up from Nashville for a couple of days. He goes back tomorrow. Came up on Sunday. So it's been good. My cat doesn't think it's good. She's jealous. So she actually woofs. She has a woof. And she will woof at him as he tries to go by her in the hallway. But she stalks him. Like she's upset with him, like she's jealous. But it's like, where'd he go? And you're following him. But then if he tries to leave, it's like, can't leave. So it's been an interesting thing to watch the last couple of days. Thom, thank you very much for joining us.
Always my pleasure. Always my pleasure.
You don't have any Kickstarters coming up lately. Nothing we can pimp on that.
Nope. The thing I wanted to show off was the Choose Your Own Adventure. Again, I'm calling it Seize Your Destiny, which will be late October to sometime December, depending on editing and art and all that other stuff. But that's the only thing that's coming up soon. Although I didn't say, and I should say that I am trying to squeeze in a North Texas competition book. Three Castles book.
Interesting.
I know I have to have it done by December 31st, right? So I'm pushing to it's called The Prison of Dolargonia. Prison Escape Adventure. But with about 7 twists in it. So and hopefully that'll be for OSE. Gotta support the OSE. Yeah. So I'm hoping to have that done this year so I can submit it. We got all fight to try to get Ben Burns out of there. So
yeah, well, yeah,
we all got to make our efforts.
It's gonna be a tough year though, but because we got Greg Gillespie's Dwaro Deep, and then Skeeter's got something. I know Lou's got something. We got. It's gonna be tough. People are gunning for Ben this year. That 3 in a row. That's too much.
That's it.
I'm calling it.
You got to cut him off. It's like at the pub. Yeah. Come on, he's had too many.
So the other question I have for Mike is would my Choose Your Own Adventure book be eligible for Three Castles if it had a rare?
It actually was not. It actually by the perimeters, you have to have an adventure, a supplement, or a rule set, which that would be neither basically. We don't consider published novels, and that's kind of in between. I know, but it probably it's not under the.
Well, I'm writing something else anyway, but I was just curious.
I wish you could throw in the Lost City one, but you can't. But that would be. I mean, it'd be a little ethically
Yeah.
Hey, this is North Texas, and I'm going to try to win the prize in North Texas.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
what?
right.
Wait. Tenkar is entering for a 10 key? No.
Uh-oh.
Who can do?
Not can do. Not we don't do that stuff. That nepotism ends here. Here, I tell you.
Oh, Lou says Burns is going down and coming with my monster book. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, everyone's gunning for him. So
Yep. All right.
I figured I'd throw something in just for fun.
He's pretty confident. Corsairs of Cthulhu. I think that's his submission this year. So, he might also submit his Zeta Complex game. So he may have. You can submit two. He may have two. I don't know. I don't know. Ben may have a.
It's gonna be tough.
They have the inside track this year. You guys gotta gang up and beat
I
him down.
puts out winners, does he?
No.
Take your best time play with hers.
I can win that with my choose your measure.
Thumbs up, TT. That's awesome.
We'll leave that to Matt Jackson, who's been doing solo playing. You can check out his blog. Was it?
Oh.
MSJX or MJSX.com.
Yes, if you have suggestions for tankies, come in Friday night and throw those out there to the guys that are going to be there. That they will take all suggestions for tankies.
That's a winner, though. That's
Friday night. Come back in a couple of nights.
God help us. Again, Thom, thank you.
Thanks,
yeah,
Thom.
my pleasure. Always my pleasure.
Mike, should we thank Zach for giving you proper?
Yes, thanks, Zach, for letting me pass gas on your chair. I had really bad gas tonight.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad.
How is this different from last week? I rode the car with him.
Oh,
remember the box has to be about this big, right?
Yeah,
the box has to be about that big or so.
Okay,
Sure.
How about the Wizards and Warriors? That looks.
That's the one you sold me. That was terrible, stupid game.
Oh, sorry.
Trouble in paradise.
Never mind. I can't say it because I want to be nice.
He's gone now. Here we go. We got a World of Greyhawk shirt crap. What do you think?
Okay. I need a replacement for my portfolio one. Really
we have a fourth dimension shrink wrap. Well, we do. Oh, it actually is shrink wrap. I think I did sell this. I sold it to you. I already touched it. So we got Wizards and Warriors, 1974, 70. I can't remember what year. With the dragon on there. Wow. This is an absolutely horrible board game because I have an open copy. It's awful. Awful. This is before they started really doing anything with this.
But I thought shrink wasn't a condition.
Okay, here's the game. There's a path that goes along it. You roll the dice to go along it. That's it. And bad things, man. It's one step above snakes and ladders. Let's put it
I'm about to say something shoots and ladders. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Not everything TSR put out was a home run in those days, folks.
It was like candy.
There's a lot that wasn't, honestly.
Folks, thank you very much. Thanks to everybody in the live stream. Thank you to everybody that's a supporter. 2 thumbs up. Besides, if you're watching this, you're probably subscribed. We're not even gonna mention that. We're still in the world of the endemic, so hey, common sense, right? It's not going away. Learn to live with it. Be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I will be back again with another live stream on Friday. Again, no James Raggy. 2 weeks from this coming Friday. But you want to hear about artificial intelligence artwork, and you want to hear Rob Conley, and maybe Rob Conley not talk about I don't know, LARPing. Yes.
Or take a bet when he mentions LARPing. That's always fun.
Maybe we'll actually do official bingo cards for the Friday night with the group. We'll think about it. Again, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I'll be back again tomorrow or some random crap. Laters.